I want to start more with what Trump is doing today because it's just such good stuff and we got to get to it. So the executive orders and the crackdown on the border is really where we're going to start. I'm just going to read you a couple, all right? First, the Laken Riley Act passed. It passed the House and then it went to the Senate. They made some modifications and went back to the House last night and it passed. And it passed with a lot of Democratic support. Of course, there were some 46 or something Democratic lawmakers who wouldn't sign it. So the Democrats are still crazy. There's some portion that's still crazy. But they passed the Laken Riley Act, which really says, like, you must detain an illegal who commits shoplifting or something you consider a lesser crime, never mind the more serious crimes. You may not just return them out into society. It requires ICE to arrest illegals who commit an offense of theft, burglary, larceny, shoplifting, or, of course, something more serious, and mandates that these aliens are detained until they're removed from the United States so they cannot reoffend. Then on top of that, because keep in mind what happened with Laken Riley was this criminal in New York City committed a couple of crimes here, including, I think, shoplifting was one of them, and then got released by New York City, which is a sanctuary city in a sanctuary state. And then he went down to Georgia and killed Laken Riley. And if we had just done our job in New York State, well, I'm in Connecticut now, but I'm from New York, this guy would have been behind bars or deported, as he should be now under Trump. So they're trying to crack down on this. And then there's a second piece of the Laken Riley Act that reads as follows. It enables state attorneys general to file lawsuits against the Homeland Security Secretary if the government fails to enforce immigration laws. This is for the next administration. This is Trump saying, I won't be president forever, and I am empowering Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis and all border state governors to sue the derelict federal government if the next guy refuses to enforce the laws.
Oh, thank God.
And that's exactly what we were talking about is he's had folks around him like Stephen Miller who had 4 years to get ready for this moment, who saw the kind of nonsense that the bureaucracy does to keep Americans unsafe. And so now they're hitting the ground running, ready for stuff like this. Also, it's important to note, this is a very American tradition, putting in checks and balances to ensure that America is a safe country of laws. It's a wonderful day for all Americans.
Yeah. Yeah, and hats off to like Katie Britt and others who were the champion of that bill for the last couple of months. I can't believe there was opposition to it. I mean, it just shows you how crazy these people are.
And you got overwhelming Democrat support for this policy of deporting, never mind of punishing the criminals who are here and making sure they don't hurt more Americans, but of deporting all illegals, all of them. But before I get to Harry Enton over on CNN talking about that, let me show you AOC's reaction to the Laken Riley Act.
If a person is so much as accused of a crime, if someone wants to point a finger and accuse someone of shoplifting, they will be rounded up and put into a private detention camp and sent out for deportation without a day in court, without a moment to assert their right and without a moment to assert the privilege of innocent until proven guilty. That is what is inside this bill, a fundamental suspension of a core American value.
Okay. She's very worried about the due process rights of illegals accused of murder.
That's the thing is, so the thing is, the Bill of Rights applies to citizens. I think you learned that, what, third grade? Is that third grade?
This is underpants gnome logic. You know what I mean? Imagine sitting there and being like, well, if you're even accused, you may not have even done something wrong. Except for the fact that you're illegally here in the first place.
Right,
That's the crime, right? I don't care if you shoplifted. Sure. Now we know who you are. Get the hell out of here. Right. That was the whole point of everything. The crime, the underlying crime is that you're here illegally.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, Smug, the Constitution does apply to people who are in the country, whether they're legal or they're illegal. But the point is what Josh just says, which is if you're here and you get arrested, and I don't care what you get arrested for, we find out you're an illegal, you're out. I don't really give a shit. It's not about your due process laws on the crime you've been arrested for. It's about your underlying crime of sneaking into the country unlawfully. Get out. Exactly. That's what we're worried about. It's not like whether you're going to get all your Bill of Rights once you actually get to trial. It's you're illegal and you got caught. And right now we're bending over backwards to accommodate you so that you don't have to leave, so that you can let your legal rights play out here. Get out. We already established you're an illegal. Go. You're Venezuela's problem now. But here's, okay, there's more. There's more.
And not for nothing, but like as far as due process goes, everyone who's come to this country over the past 4 years with some BS asylum claim has a court date in like 7 years. In like 7 years.
Yeah, they don't. And we never find them. If they don't show up, we don't look. All right, here's another one. On top of that, which is an actual law, those are the ones we like the best, right? They can't be undone by executive order by the next president. DOJ released a memo directing federal prosecutors. Now I'm getting into the more executive actions. DOJ released a memo directing federal prosecutors to investigate and potentially prosecute state and local officials who do not cooperate with immigration orders. So once again, this is a crackdown on sanctuary cities, that you could get prosecuted if you are a state or local official who's not complying with an ICE detainer. There's an ICE detainer on some bad hombre who gets arrested for shoplifting, let's say in New York City, and he's sitting behind a bar, and there's a detainer, which means New York officials are supposed to call ICE and say, hey, we've got this guy you're looking for, and they don't. Instead, they defy that, and they let the guy free, and he goes down to Georgia and murders a 22-year-old nursing student. So this is saying, you local officials who do that, you're going to get your asses prosecuted. It's not just about the act, which mandates it with Laken Riley. We're going to come after you criminally.
Yep. And this is very necessary because there's a lot of already very troubling things that are happening. The other day it was reported that the Denver public school system, taxpayer funded, is sending out emails advising illegal aliens and their families how to avoid ICE. That's taxpayer funding that's going towards breaking the law. So things like this are incredibly necessary when you see across this country that institutions that we ourselves are paying for as taxpayers are trying to help individuals break the law, which can lead to things like innocent people getting murdered. So it's wonderful seeing how focused the Trump administration is on making sure that is dealt with.
Bad news for old Newscomb.
Yeah.
All right, let me give you a couple more on the border. The Pentagon announced it will begin deploying as many as 1,500 active duty troops to help secure the southern border in the coming days. They will join the roughly 2,500 U.S. National Guard and Reserve forces already there. That makes 4,000 troops along the southern border. Reports out today it could go as high as 10,000 to make sure that now they're not sending the military down there in a law enforcement capacity. You're not allowed to use the military like that. They're not going to be shooting illegals. They're just standing there, and they're happy to put the illegals in the truck and drive them back across the border. That they can do. They can't arrest them. That's the job of CPB. But this is an amazing show of force, which is having incredible effects already. I'll give you the numbers in one sec. 10,000 flights were canceled for so-called refugees who were slated to travel to the United States. Up here in the Northeast, we've been getting a ton of these flights. In Westchester, in the middle of the night, canceled. Go back home. Biden's been bringing them in by the plane load to various communities throughout the United States. Trump canceled all the flights, at least 10,000 so far. Sorry, you're somebody else's problem. Texas reinstalled the massive floating buoy barrier along the Rio Grande. Remember, there was that huge, barrier down there, and Biden went down there and sued him to take it down because they said it was dangerous for the illegals who were trying to swim across the Rio Grande. He lost in court. Ultimately, the Fifth Circuit ruled for Greg Abbott, but they hadn't yet reinstalled it. And now it's going to be fully reinstalled, and Abbott plans to extend the barrier further. In Florida, there is new Coast Guard protection. In response to Trump's executive orders, the Coast Guard is announcing it will immediately surge boats, cutters, aircraft, specialized forces to the southern border around Florida to prevent mass illegal migration from Haiti and Cuba. This is just so beautiful. Number 6, the Department of Homeland Security, in a memo, permits ICE to raid so-called sensitive areas. Trump's DHS issued this memo, immediately rescinding Biden's 2021 through Mayorkas policy, which limited ICE from enforcing our immigration laws if they found an illegal near a, quote, sensitive area like a school, a church, or a healthcare facility. And Team Trump is saying, go for it. Go ahead and do it. Those are the most important areas to secure from dangerous illegals. Why would we give them a free pass so they intentionally go live near a school or a church or one of these healthcare facilities. So that's been revoked. And this is like just a little bit of color, because there's so much here. I'm drinking from the fire hose. Just a look into the effect this is having as ICE goes to arrest a Haitian criminal illegal migrant, and Fox's Bill Maluzhin was there. And this guy found his English for a second. Take a listen.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
There it is.
Oh, there we are.
What more is there to say?
Oh, yeah. No, it turns out maybe they're not sending their best.
And it's right there. Everyone understood. We've been saying for a while, when there was a Democrat primary happening in 2020, and they asked during a debate, will you provide, free health care, housing for illegal immigrants? Raise your hand if you did. If you do, and every single one of those people did. The message was heard loud and clear around the world. Get across the border, break the law. It's free stuff all the way. Those days have come to an end. So many Democrats are saying, no, that's not the message. Look, we had Kamala say, do not come. That means that we were serious about this. The second important thing to point out is you hear all these nonsense rules that were put in place by Mayorkas of, there's these sensitive areas. You can't enforce the law here. You have to take down these barriers and let them come in. This was willful. This invasion was willful. This was part of the plan that they had in place. There needs to be lawsuits against Mayorkas. He didn't get a pardon. This didn't just happen in his watch. He enabled and encouraged this to happen. There needs to be accountability.
Yeah, and there won't be. There won't be. And by the way, it's sad because Trump's going to do his level best to get as many of these folks out as he can. And I know the administration is very happy, and I'm thrilled to see that some 300 to 500 now illegals have already been captured by Homan. But we have maybe 20 million. I mean, it's just it's not doable. They're going to remain here. If we can get out 1 million or 2, it will be miraculous. But we are not going to get the vast majority of those illegals who Biden-Harris allowed to enter this country. Increased tariffs on our trade partners, tax cuts, and regulation changes. There's a reason why gold is a diversification tactic now more than ever. Birch Gold is releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. To get your free copy, along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold, text MK to the number 989898. Here are the facts. The national debt continues to increase. Our interest payments on the national debt continue to increase. So gold is an important option, and it can be your hedge against a weakened dollar. Birch Gold can convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text MK to 989898 for your free copy of the ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. There's no obligation, just information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of happy customers, find out more about Birch Gold. There is a reason so many people love these guys and take all or just a small part of their existing IRAs and move them over into gold with Birch. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.